After 8 long years, Nintendo has finally released the much anticipated sequel to their massively successful console, the Nintendo Switch 2. But personally, I still prefer the original because of how cool it was. I remember before 2017, I didn't know or care much about gaming, but I became obsessed with video games after I learned about the Nintendo Switch. It all started with rumors about a Pokemon game potentially coming to the console. I used to be a huge fan of Pokemon back then, and I wanted to know everything about it. So of course when I heard the rumors, I got curious and this led me to discover what the Switch was. Seeing the Switch for the first time blew me away because it was so revolutionary. It is a console that you can play both on the TV and on the go, and at that time I didn't even know if that was even possible. I of course wanted this console so badly, but I couldn't get it at the time because I didn't have the money to buy it. So I spent many years looking at something that I really wanted but couldn't get. So instead, I just followed the news about the console. I remember Nintendo's crazy reveals like Smash Ultimate and the new Pokemon games and the excitement that everyone had towards the console. I remember how insane E3 of 2019 was and the amount of insane reveals that had everybody excited. I wanted the console so badly, but it was out of my reach for many years. So thankfully, after 4 years had passed by, I finally saved enough and I finally bought a console. The experience of buying a new console was exhilarating. It is like buying a new car, and I remember the first few months with the Nintendo Switch were some of the best moments in my life. I first played through Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I still think is the best game on the Switch. The game has so much to do and the graphics and the story was so amazing. The next game after that I played was Super Mario Odyssey, which was decent but not better than Zelda. After that, I played Persona 5, which is still the best RPG I ever played. But unfortunately, I got the bad ending and I saved the game after the credits roll. So I never really got the chance to actually finish the game. The next game I picked up was Pokemon Violet. I was really looking forward to playing this game, but the game had so many glitches and bugs, and it made it unplayable. And it was the first time I was disappointed in a Switch game. But thankfully, the next game I got was good. It was Catherine's Full Body, and it's an awesome puzzle game with a charming story. The next game I played was Kirby in the Forgotten Land, which is easily the best Kirby game ever made, and I prefer this one over the Mario Odyssey. Unfortunately, Kirby in the Forgotten Land is the last game I have played on the Switch so far because after I was done playing through it, I started to realize the serious limitations of the console. The games looked unimpressive compared to other consoles and they ran terribly, but what actually made me stop liking the console was when Nintendo released the Zelda Tears of the Garbage. I was so excited to play the sequel of the best game on the console, but this game is barely different from Breath of the Wild. The map and the story was basically the same with just a few new features, but Nintendo charged $70 for what is essentially just a glorified DLC update. I was already pissed that I got scammed with Pokemon Violet, but Tears of the Garbage made it so hard to support the console. I could no longer trust Nintendo after that experience, and I haven't played through any of their games. The only reason why I even turn on the Switch these days is just to play Super Smash Bros. Otherwise, I will just play games on the PS5 because they are so much better looking and run beautifully. Even though I'm no longer the biggest fan of the Switch, I will always remember the great times I had with the console. I will never forget the first few months when I had a console because every game I played on it was a breath of fresh air and something exciting. But you know what they say, all good things must come to an end.